Billions of people worldwide use groundwater as their primary drinking water source. But did you know that often biological treatment is applied, as seen in the photo behind me? My name is Doris van Halem, and I'm Professor Drinking Water Quality and Treatment at the Water Management Department at the Faculty of Civil Engineering and Geosciences here at TU Delft. In this video, I will introduce you to groundwater quality and the concept of aeration filtration. Groundwater from deeper aquifers is nicely protected against human and animal contaminants, such as pathogenic bacteria and other potentially disease-causing microorganisms. The reason for this is that travel times after recharging water through the subsurface can be months, years, or even decades to centuries, preventing these organisms to survive. Consequently, this groundwater has a reliable water quality, making it a stable source for drinking water production. These long travel times through the subsurface, however, also mean that the water will pass different redox zones. The atmospheric oxygen dissolved in rainwater, river water, and other surface water bodies will be consumed on its path through the soil. This transition from aerobic groundwater to anoxic or anaerobic groundwater means that other electron acceptors will be used for microbial conversions. Once oxygen is depleted, dissolved nitrate will be consumed from the water. However, if also no nitrate is left in the water, iron and manganese oxides will be reduced. Consequently, these solid oxides will be released into the water phase as dissolved iron 2+ and manganese 2+. In addition, the conversion of organic matter results in elevated ammonium concentrations in the water. Under strongly reducing conditions, also gases like methane and hydrogen sulfide are detected in the groundwater. While depending on the geochemical conditions, also the toxic element arsenic can naturally occur in groundwater, as well as high levels of fluoride, which obviously need to be removed. In calcareous soils, elevated calcium and magnesium concentrations can be found in the groundwater, also called hardness of the water. In sandy soils, water tends to have lower levels and is considered soft. Well, in this lecture, we will focus on the biological removal of iron, manganese, and ammonium from groundwater. So, although groundwater is a reliable and stable source for drinking water production, there is the need to remove geogenic contaminants. Iron is not of health concern, yet the World Health Organization recommends levels below 0.3 milligrams per liter for aesthetic reasons, as iron can color the water brownish and has a specific taste. In reality, water utilities aim at even lower concentrations to avoid accumulation of iron oxide sediments in distribution networks. Manganese in water can also cause discoloration of the water or issues in the piping. In addition, long-term exposure to manganese via drinking water can have neurological health effects. So, WHO has a health-based guideline for manganese of 0.08 milligrams per liter. While the removal of ammonium, iron and manganese from groundwater is achieved through oxidation. This can be done chemically by introducing an oxidant, such as chlorine or permanganate. However, in this lecture, we will discuss the biological oxidation of these contaminants in biofilters, which is achieved merely by introducing atmospheric oxygen into the water. This process is referred to as aeration filtration, or passive groundwater treatment. In this process, the groundwater is abstracted from a deep aquifer through a borehole. The pumped water is subsequently brought into contact with air through spray, plate, or cascade aeration. These various aeration methods have different energy inputs and efficiencies, so choice of the aeration step will depend on the concentration of gases in the groundwater. The advantage of cascade aeration is that only one pumping step is required and water can flow through gravitation over the cascades onto the biosand filter. In a well-functioning aeration step, the concentration of oxygen can increase close to saturation, which is 10 to 11 milligrams per liter, depending on the water temperature. At the same time, carbon dioxide is flushed out of the water, meaning that the pH will slightly increase. This sudden shift in oxygen levels and pH in the anaerobic groundwater will onset a wide range of conversions in the subsequent biofilter. After aeration, the water flows on top of the sand filter, which is a packed sandbed saturated with water. On top of the sandbed is a supernatant water level to ensure air bubbles will not enter the pores. At the bottom of the sandbed is a support structure with drainage pipes and coarse sand, coarse gravel. By gravity, the water flows through the filter bed in a downward mode, with flow being controlled by a pump or simply by the water level and a siphon. In some cases, pressure filters are applied or upflow filters. Flow rates of groundwater filters are typically several meters per hour. During filtration, the water passes the pores and the larger particles are being retained. Well, as a consequence, the filter bed will slowly clog and the resistance of the filter bed will build up. Depending on the water quality, the filter bed will be backwashed after a day, a week, or even several weeks. The moment of backwashing is determined either by the extent of residence buildup, to avoid negative pressures in the filter bed, or by the breakthrough of suspended solid or contaminants that threaten the effluent water quality. The backwash procedure consists of reversing the flow at a higher rate to expand the bed and flush out the trapped particles from the pores. The backwash water is collected in gutters and can be disposed of or treated for recirculation into the raw water flow. And to avoid water losses, a combination of air and water can be used in the backwash procedure. After backwash, the filter returns to its original downward flow mode and water can be produced again. In this lecture, I've spoken about sand filtration, but also other materials can be used to compose the porous bed. Examples are pumice and anthracite, which are sometimes also used in combination with sand in dual bed filters. Keep in mind that the properties of these materials are different, for example density or different grain size distribution or surface area, which will affect their behavior during filtration and during backwashing. Well, in this video, I gave an introduction to groundwater quality and the purpose of aeration filtration. In the next video, we will explore the biological processes that occur in these filters and how we can steer them.